Valentine's weekend and all, I've noticed that a few things. It's nearly impossible to get reservations for a restaurant or a day spa. And every song on the radio seems like a love song. From Old Blue Eyes to Faith Hill. From Ricky Martin even, to Shawn Colvin, of course. And when I listen to these songs, it takes me back. Back to that moment so many years ago when everything was brand new and sparkling. Do you remember that first kiss? Maybe not your first kiss ever, but the first kiss where you sighed and relinquished control of your heart to another. When there was no longer any denying, this wasn't just a flirtation. This was real. And you wondered if the world had stopped spinning, or was it just you? And just like when Rhett kissed Scarlett, or Rick kissed Elisha, or Jack and Rose on the Titanic, or Wesley and Buttercup, your knees grew weak, and your heart skipped a beat or two. And everything was hazy and confused, and yet crystal clear. Or maybe for you, it was that first moment of holding new life in your hands. Listening to those sweet squeaks and counting fingers and toes. What had only been a dream was now flesh and blood. Amazing. And this person that was in your arms, they belong to you, and you to them. And when you look at your baby's face, you now know that is what your heart looks like. Well, whoever it is that has ever wiggled their way into your heart, when it happens, your world is changed forever. There is no going back. When that happens, you want to shout it from the mountaintops. You want to document it and post it on Facebook so it seems real. Or declare it your love for the world to hear. You want to find a way to capture the moment, maybe in a picture, and to freeze time, and yet you want it to go on forever. Today's gospel reading is a brand new Valentine's kind of love story. Imagine Peter and James and John, the inner circle. They're with Jesus, they take a walk. They climb a hill. They probably have quiet conversation along the way. And when they reach the top, they see the world in a way they have never seen before. They see their teacher, their rabbi. And with him is Elijah. Elijah, who according to the scriptures did not die an earthly death, but he rode in a flaming chariot directly into the heavens. And then also there is Moses, Moses, who some believed God self-buried, but there was another tradition that many believed, that Moses also escaped death and ascended directly into God's realm. And that is why these two prophets of old are who the Jews expect may one day return. And there they are. And the light is so bright. It is blinding. And everything that should have always been obvious is clear. Jesus is the Messiah. Well, hadn't they always known? Had they ever really doubted? And so the disciples, Peter especially, they want to capture this moment. They want to build dwellings to document what has happened here. They want to freeze time, and they want it to go on forever. And then everything was different. A cloud came, and out of the cloud, a voice. God's voice. God's voice, who in Mark's account of Jesus' baptism, only Jesus had heard. But now, in this moment, Peter and James and John hear also. They hear God claim Jesus as God's Son. And just as any proud parents might beam when talking about their child's home run or straight A's or running off to join the Peace Corps, God must have had the largest grin when God says that Jesus is beloved. Listen to him. Listen as God's heart skips a beat or two. Listen as God declares Jesus to be the light. And in that terrifyingly beautiful moment, Peter, James, and John could look at Jesus and see what God's heart looks like. And just as in any great moment of love, it felt like now. And it felt like always. And it felt like coming home. Now, it would have made sense for Jesus just to stay at the top of that mountain, where he could be revered and respected for who he is. It's only natural to want to put the Messiah on a pedestal. And what had been experienced there could never be forgotten. The disciples had seen Jesus glowing. They had heard God's voice. Love had been declared. Their relationship was changed. There was no going back. And so it seemed that Jesus should maybe just stay, and the people could come to him. Well, this is where we enter the love story. Because Jesus didn't stay. Jesus came down the mountain. You see, Jesus didn't just come here for mountaintop experiences, but Jesus came to walk in our dust and dirt with us. Many of us from experience can explain why in so many romantic movies They seem to end with that first kiss or that first declaration of love. Because that is the easy part. What happens next in life, well, that gets complicated. When things are revealed about us that we would have liked to stay hidden, all of our skeletons come out of the closet, all the dirty socks that aren't put away. But just as a true lover or a loving parent stays when there are snotty Kleenexes scattered around the house, and diapers that need changing, and jobs that are lost, and we don't make the team, Jesus comes down the mountain to be with us in our mess, in our chaos, in our broken places. Jesus comes down the mountain and suffers with us, suffers for us. Jesus comes down the mountain and heads towards the cross to show us God's love for us. This is the true love story. Not that Jesus went up the mountain, but that Jesus came down the mountain. And in Jesus' coming down the mountain, we are transfigured. Because of that light, our eyes are open and we can see the world in a way we never saw it before. And our hearts can skip a beat or two. And we want to shout it from the mountaintop. We want the world to hear what has happened. Because we can breathe when the world seems to stop spinning. And we can look at each other and see what God's heart looks like. Amen. Please remain seated just for a moment. I invite you to pray and listen.